looks like nice paint, doesn't it? That's fresh out of the gun. Problem is, I don't know if I can pick it up here. That looks a lot worse. That looks a lot worse in the video than it does. It's just a little piece of dust. We've got a few of those in here. There's another one. It looks like a giant mountain on the camera. But it's a little piece of dust. There's another one on the block there. Can you see it? Can you see it? Not so much. I can see it under the light here. And these fluorescent lights are brutal. They'll show you anything. But that's what we're battling. So, gotta get rid of that. We're gonna use this 2000 grit on a block to start. And then I've got another system I use on my Orbital. And it'll do 1000 grit and 2000 and 5000, or 2 or 3. And then you almost don't have to buff it. It's so smooth at the end of that. You just drag the buffer over it and it's done. So, I'll show you a little bit of this. It might be interesting because in today's world, you really don't need to know how to paint. You need to know how to buff, because you won't see a car at the car show that's not buffed at all. And so if you have any of these little imperfections, you can fix runs, you can fix dust, you can fix orange peel, anything. Fisheye, if it goes right down to the bottom, you can't fix that. And if you get a lot of fisheye, well, you really need to look at your wax and degrease program before you get painting. So that's just another issue. But for what's in this hood, this thing will lay right down flat as a pancake and look really nice. I mean, it's not super dirty out in natural light. You know, if it was just a street car, I wouldn't worry about it. But if it's, you know, this guy's built kind of a nice car here, so at this point, we need to make it right. I buffed the rest of the car. I had a buffing issue on the hood. I burnt a spot in it. That was stupid, but anyway, I did. And so I had to repaint it. So, and I'll buff this so it matches the rest of the car. So there's one that's all sanded out. And you can see everything's gone. Didn't take very long. This one I just started. I don't know if I can pick it up on the camera. You can see the edges there. So what you see is we're cutting material down, and you'll just do that until that little ring is gone. Otherwise, you'll just barely see that little ring if you don't take that out. It won't show a lot, but you will. If you're really fussy, you'll see it. It just takes another few swipes of the paper and it's gone. So that's what we're doing. You can see there is texture in that paint. It doesn't really show. You don't really see it with the naked eye, but you can see those little spots. Those are highs on the texture. When you spray paint, it has to have texture because spraying is particles. So it'll have some, but that's surprised it shows that much, really. These little buggers aren't easy to see always. You have to turn and try and get all your different points of reflection. Find one. Take this 2000 grit. I'm just going to work it in. It really doesn't take very long. It's pretty quick. Turns out this is the shortest part of the job. Now let's wipe it down and check it, make sure. I actually found another one that you can see the edge of back here doing that. So I'll knock that off. That's good. I see another one up there. 2. All you want to do is knock that high spot off, and I just found another one. Just happened. As you're working on these things, you will. That's why I keep cleaning, and instead of letting a bunch of water droplets get going here, where everything is buried, I'll keep wiping it off so I can keep seeing what I'm doing. If I find anything that I don't like, I'm going to fix it right now. The other thing on this you got to be really careful of is debris. If if you get a piece of debris in there and you sand it, you're going to grind big marks. Got another one. I know I saw another one here. There. That side's coming pretty good. I wish I was more like other people that could just leave this. Some people are going to be saying, oh, you're nuts. Well, probably I'd love to be able to just leave this and feel good about it. That would be awesome. But, end of the day, this makes a hell of a nice job. And unfortunately, this job is, I'm way in the toilet on this one. I quoted it like a dum-dum and found world of surprises. This car looked like a nice car. It was a piece of shit. I mean, we changed everything on it. The only thing left on this car is the doors and the hood. The doors, I had to build bottoms. The rest of this car is new. New floors, new trunk floors, quarters, everything. And it, obviously I wasn't budgeted for that. So, no more of that. I don't think I'm gonna quote any more of these old things there. I don't know how I got that surprised. The car looked really good underneath and everything. They put fiberglass on every panel on this car and covered it. I don't know if they thought they were preserving it or if they, what the hell they were doing. But they left, it looked like a strainer when you pulled that fiberglass off. It was just unbelievable. You had this thin layer everywhere. Never really seen anything like it. Anyway, don't ever do that. Not that anybody would. Somebody worked like a son of a gun doing that. Just to ruin the car. It was unbelievable. But, and then it had been wrecked on the left rear. It actually had 2 quarter panels on it when I started cutting quarter panels off. So I missed that too, looking at it. They camouflaged everything quite well. The minute I took the chrome off the car, I knew what I was in for. I called the owner. I said, you want me to put it back together? Send it down the road, or what do you want to do here? He says, he'd buy quarter panels and stuff. So we were off to the races on a lot bigger job than what we started out for. And it's screwed our schedule up, and it's screwed our budget up, and everything. But anyway, it's almost done, so thank God. Send it down the road. That's why I'd love to be able just to ignore this dust and put this hood on this car and kick it out. But anyway, it sat around here forever because terminal back order and COVID. But we sat and waited for, I think, 4 months for a trunk lid, which the stupid Oldsmobile has an oddball trunk lid on the convertible. It's the same as a 4-door. 4-door and convertible is the same trunk lid. Who ever heard of that? So, my supplier had a trunk lid. They get it here. It says convertible in the catalog. It's a hardtop trunk lid, sure as hell. And it sticks out about 4 inches wider than the top of the quarters. It fit back on behind bumper fine, but it didn't fit anything else in the car. So I had to go back, and then off we go. So that's the basics. That shows you how you get the big stuff off. Then I'll have to set up for the air and we'll do the DA. And the DA is pretty cool. It's a nice system. It's just, I find if I sand off these big spots, you'll see a little shadow of where the dust was. But if you take this block and you knock it down flat, you'll never see it again. That's the best way to go. If you can just never see this kind of thing again, all the better. Oop. Gee, they're not easy to see all this. That's why you want to walk around these things 3 or 4 times, and as you're working, keep looking, keep trying to spot something else. I know being not easy to see makes it sound like a dummy for doing this, but you know you're going to get that customer that's going to be the fussy one. They'll be like, what is that? That looks like a toenail off a cricket. It's huge. Yeah, I think, but has it? Anyway, if I miss something, I'm going to sand it with the DA, and you will see those little shadows. They'll stick up on that, so I can address that later. It's not imperative I get it all now, it's just, I'd rather do this part while I'm in it. And then the other part after. But anyway, we'll see. All right, this is this stuff. This is 3M. And it's a very, it's 1,000 grit, you'd never know it. And it looks just, I don't know, almost like a material. It's got a weave in it. It's very mild. We will go down to 5,000 grit before we're done. But all I want to do now is just keep it really wet. And I don't want to cut it that fast. That's violent. It burns up your water quick. It's still going to go a little quick. Clear coat. I'm doing a clear coat. There's the white mud. Now if you're doing a single stage, your color is going to come up. In this case, it's got a clear coat on it because I wanted to bury these stripes. You see there's no edge there. That's what I did. I sprayed clear over them, sanded the clear, and then shot more clear. So we've cut that part. We'll take a little off and we'll see what we have. I'll have to let that dry. And I'll sand another spot, and I'll just come back and look at this and see if I've sanded enough or if I want to do more. Because I might want to do more. But normally if you cut enough to get the white mud up, it's enough. Especially if I go over it first and hit the bad spots. But you can see, so the dirt's gone. You see that little bit of material around it. You can see where you know, you'd never know looking at that paint that it has texture, but it does. It's obvious. It won't have texture when we're done though. It will have none. It'll be smooth. But that's all the spots. There's the 1,000 grit. Everything's nice and smooth. You wonder why I don't do this kind of thing? It's because I don't have a death wish. these kind of spots in here, if you don't have to do them, don't. I did that one because there's a little piece of dirt there, a little spot there. But this kind of stuff will get you in trouble. Any corners, any sharp edges, that's where you dig yourself some holes that you can't get out of. Even here, I sanded in here closer than I should have. I didn't think. And I can get it, but I'll have to use my little buffer. It's just a pain. And really doesn't show. End of the day, you don't see that kind of thing at all. Like in this valley, that paint lays in there so smooth if there's no dirt, but hell with it. Same as this edge, same thing. Paint just lays up in those spots, really nice. So it's absolutely not worth messing with. But you can see here, you can see there, it's not really cut, but it's very smooth. And I still got to do 3,000 and 5,000. By the time I'm done, whatever's there that didn't get cut, same as here. You see that just a little bit, but it's smooth. That'll come out with a 3 and a 5, so I'm not going to go back and revisit it. But if it was rough, for sure, do it now with 1,000. That's the product. 3M. It just goes on a regular Velcro sanding pad. Works super good. Very easy. Spray it with water, away you go. Like I say, 3,000, 1,000. I've got 5,000. It's all. It's go down to 5,000 because otherwise you just have to buff more. So there's no gain in not doing. I can cut the 5,000 sanding faster than I can buff that like 3,000 out. So just go to the 5,000 grit. You can see here. Bring it up. Show the paint. That's the 3,000. See how smooth that is now? It's, you probably can't see it, but I can feel it. It's really, and that translates into your shine. I thought it was smooth before, but this is perfection. So this is your 5,000 grit. You can see it almost looks like a woven vinyl or something. I really don't know what it's made out of. Very fine. Really doesn't cut coarse at all. So we'll put the water on it, and that mud we had with 1,000 grit, you're not going to see anywhere near as much mud because obviously you're cutting less. So just bring it up close so you can see the.
Yep.
See that mud developing, and you know you're taking off a little bit of material. And in this case, a little bit of material is all you're going to get. We're never going to cut. You're not going to. You don't really want to take off any amount of material anyway, because obviously you're going to burn through your paint. I have a lot of clear coat on it, so I have the ability to burn through a fair bit. But perfect world, you're going to take off this whole process, maybe a mil. So it's like buffing and everything. So all we're doing is just taking off the top of that texture, and we've already taken out the dirt with a hand sanding. You can do this with a hand sander, but you're going to be here all day. I'm going to be here an hour and a half with this. So if you've got an air compressor, if you've got a sander, it's not very expensive to buy the pad and the 3M discs. And if you've got Velcro sander, some people sand with Velcro anyway, so you're already partway there. There's nothing special in this pad. It's just a regular Velcro pad. Everything that's special is in that little 3M disc. So it's not a very expensive thing to do, and it'll save you elbow grease like crazy. It's good. Buffing time. So I already buffed here, this part on the back. I'll show you how it comes in. We use 3 different compounds, and this is only done with number 1. It'll get shinier from there. But each of these compounds, they make it with a corresponding pad, and that helps like crazy if you're doing this. And you buy all 3 compounds, and the number 3 almost looks like it's doing nothing, but boy, does it ever bring it up. It brings that shine up higher right to the surface. If you want to look a little older, a little more like an old lacquer paint or something, I won't use it, but otherwise I'll use this. And then Anyway, just come up here and I'll do a little buffing and see how it works. I don't go crazy with compound because you just spread it all over the place. I put a little bit on, spread it in. Keep moving. Because if you stop, sit in one spot, you're going to burn right through it. Keep moving. Don't get any heat into your panel, especially this damn thing, because it's got a steel reinforcement under it, and it's a fiberglass skin. So it'll build heat, it'll burn, which I learned the hard way. Make sure to keep your compound active, because you'll see that it looks a little greasy. As long as you've got that, you won't burn, but if you let it get dry, you'll burn. Now see, that's all it takes for number one. You got that 5,000 grit. When we sanded it, we bring it in almost to the finish. Now if you look really, really closely, it looks almost a little bit cloudy. And that's because it's only number one compound. You get number two, it takes out that cloudiness, and then number three, it's gone. So just keep working your way at it. 1, 2, 3. It's real simple. It's easy to follow. And I'd say anybody can do it. Just as long as you don't sit in one spot, you'll never get in trouble doing this. If you sit in one spot, hang out there, that's it. You're going to cook it, and you'll blister it. So keep moving, and you'll be fine. That may look done, but it's not. We still have to do our 2 and 3 compound. If you get really close to it, you can see in places some shadowing. You get down there in that black especially. That black will show you everything. So you hit the number 2, and that'll bring all that out. And then the number 3 will bring it up. The red, you can't even see it. But black will tell on you. And the other important thing is microfiber towels. Where I learned about them was trying to buff my first black car. And I was trying to wipe that stuff off with those blue shop towels, and it was streaky and nasty looking mess. I couldn't do anything about it. And I was down at Carlisle, and McGuire's guys threw me some microfiber towels. So that'll fix your problem. It sure as hell did. So just something to bear in mind. Don't use the blue shop towels or any other shop towel. Get a microfiber and make your life much easier. That is number 2 compound. That one is number 1. That one is number 2. You can get an idea of the difference. You can see on the red, maybe you can see it in camera. That's number 1. That's number 2. So you can see it just keeps pulling out the finer lines and just keeps refining your finish. And number 3 does the same thing, less dramatic. There, so you can see how it comes in. Moving. You question it, to check it, see if it's getting hot. It's not even slightly warm. But if you're ever worried about it, check it for heat. Places like this, you gotta be really careful. You don't want to get up on the edge. You'll burn through immediately. see how it brightens it up? It's so smooth and bright when you're done. Kind of like wiping your butt. You hate to do it, it's an unpleasant job, but it's a lot better when it's done. Somewhere between that and building a barbed wire fence. And that's what you do. And I do it the same, whether it's lacquer or a single stage or a base clear. I do them all the same. Sand it, buff it, just keep making your scratch marks finer and finer and finer until they're shiny, and that's really all we're doing. This fine compound is just a finer abrasive. The finished product is worth it. There's number 3. You can sort of see the difference in the camera. There's number 2. There's number 3. It just isn't quite as bright. It's hard to see on the camera, but it's you can see how it just brings it right up hardcore to the surface, and it's very, very smooth. You just don't see anything in it anymore. It looks deeper. It looks like you can stick your hand in there and scoop up wet paint. So, you know, it's an unpleasant job. I really don't care for doing it, but I really do like the results. And I guess that's what's important at the end of the day, is the results. All right. I got my assistant helping me here now. We got her done. I'm pretty happy with the results. It looks like a nice hood now. It's sure, you know, you can see that the buffing is definitely worth doing. Even on the paint job, it looks pretty nice and smooth. The buffing still is well worth doing. So I'm pretty happy with it. If you do this, just remember, just to keep moving, lining it up on your edges, and go ahead and give it a try, because you don't want to pay somebody to do this. It's going to cost you a fortune. And you don't have to buy a whole lot of equipment to do it. You buy a buffer, you buy the 3 pads, you buy the compounds, and you buy the sanding discs, or sand it by hand if you don't mind working for a long time. But you can do it, and you can take a very mediocre paint job and make a gorgeous paint job. I've done it. It's a paint job really, really rough, really heavy orange peel, or pie rounds, that sort of thing, and taking it down. It's longer. This sanded this a lot quicker because it was smooth to start with. So the more texture you have to take out, obviously the more sanding you do. But it's all the same process regardless. If it's bad or good, you're still going to go through the same thing. You just may have to do more of that first step of sanding. So don't be afraid. Just go get the stuff and make your car look really nice. Even old paint, you can do this. You don't necessarily want to be sanding on old paint. You can do the same buffing. You can bring that up. Make it beautiful too, or just better, you know, whatever. So, I mean, don't be afraid. Go for it. Do it.